You say your name right now.
Denise? D-Nice?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay. I've noticed that Antonio Brown has found yet another sucker to take him on. God knows we've already done Pittsburgh's dirty laundry. I'm curious about one thing. Do you think that he'd be welcomed back as easily in the league if he were going back to Bill Belichick and the Patriots? In other words, you think that he'd be welcome back if he were going to make New England a better team, or if he's going back to Tom Brady?
Armchair.
We are the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
What do we do? This just got way too complicated.
I've got it. Here's what's going down. Corey, you talk to your team. You guys are going to decline that holding call.
Done.
Yo, wait, but
Hold on. Trayshawn, once we break this huddle, you're going to get out there, do some crazy celebration. I'm talking some humpies. Whatever you got to do, you do it.
Okay, I got you.
I'm going to call unsportsmanlike conduct on the celebration, giving the Whites better field position after the kickoff. Coach, I need you to talk to your team about letting them run that kickoff back.
Why would I do that?
Think about it. Defense, special teams, it's all one. You let them run that kickback, both your defenses get 6 points.
Nice.
Okay, everyone good here?
Yeah.
Nope. Once again, my kicker is getting no love.
Oh, shut up, Bill. Your team is in first place. Plus, you're about to get extra point for the PAT.
Yeah, don't be greedy, Bill.
Stop being greedy, Bill. Bill.
Fine.
Bill. Yeah, Bill.
I said fine.
Bill.
Bill. Yeah, Bill. You, Bill.
All right, let's do this. Get out there.
Wait a minute. Trayshawn comes in with a very delayed celebration here. Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure that's going to be yeah, there it is. Another
Armchair.
I said it like 4 times, so why didn't you say it the first time? Because it's pronounced Aaron.
Armchair Quarterback Radio is AFC South Country, all NFL season long.
They hand it off Fournette. He's driving.
Touchdown. Drive starts at the 1 and looking for a little breathing room, and they get that in plenty more. Derrick Henry still going. Stays in bounds. He might go. 99 yards to the touchdown. Unbelievable. 2nd and 10. Empty set. Walk downfield. And that is Hilton again. First and goal. Ebron. What a year for him. Ebron, touchdown, pull, slant, caught, touchdown, Marquise Lee, and he punched the ball into the stands. Deep, and he's got it. Keelan Cole, touchdown, Jacksonville.
Stay locked in to the AFC South on Armchair Quarterback Radio.
I don't return fruit. Fruit's a gamble. I know that going in.
You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. We are all sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Strong opinions and your phone calls. Expect it here. CBS Sports Radio.
The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. SEC, ACC, and Big Ten coverage like no other. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year long and your DFS payouts. The only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to hit
Pop stars with auto-tune. And dentists with asking questions.
So, how did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much, we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay.
Take the road less traveled in the newly redesigned Hyundai Santa Fe. With available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you get off the beaten path a little further together. And intuitive safety features that can help you see what's waiting around the bend. Plus, with generous room for 5 and comfortable available Napa leather seating, you can go for more drives as a family without driving each other crazy. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. Take me out to the ball game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, as Wake Up Y'all is ending. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Take me out to the ball game. The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
CBS Sports Radio, your home for all things sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, coast to coast. Great sports talk expected here. CBS Sports Radio.
So imagine how much I'm actually making to play. You know what I'm saying? No, I got to get my money. I'm not playing unless I get mine. It's not worth it. It's not.
For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup. Out of the zone. The Colorado Avalanche have won the Stanley Cup. Raymond Bourque, a dream has come true.
They score with 28.8 seconds left. The Leafs have tied the game.
McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! A magnificent goal! Darren McCarty!
Armchair Quarterbacks Radio, covering the NHL like no other.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
I can't file. I can't type. I don't take dictation. I won't sharpen pencil. My boss calls me indispensable.
Miss Jones,
Just a minute.
will you make a copy of this?
Naturally. I push the button on the Xerox 914. I make perfect copies of whatever my boss needs by just turning a knob and pushing a button. Anything he can see, I can copy in black and white on ordinary paper. And am I fast? I can make 7 copies a minute. Sometimes...
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning. This is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Let's start by taking a look at the lines out in the desert, beginning with college football. There is Friday night action, so we begin there. The Clemson Tigers are 14-point favorites. The over-under is 44.5 as they travel to Syracuse. 7 Eastern is the kickoff. It's on ESPN. Marshall is an 11-point favorite at North Texas. 7 o'clock Eastern is the kickoff on CBS Sports Network. At 10:30 Eastern, the doubleheader continues on ESPN with California going to Oregon. Number 9 Ducks are 13.5-point favorites, and a 54 is the over-under against the Bears. And on CBS Sports Network, their doubleheader continues. Number 24 San Diego State at San Jose State. The Aztecs are a 9-point favorite on the road. The over-under is 41. The Saturday action is loaded. We'll start in the Southeastern Conference. We're at noon Eastern on CBS. Auburn, 4-2 on the year. They travel to number 17 Arkansas. The Razorbacks are 4.5-point favorites. 54 is the over-under. Also at noon on ESPN, it's the number 20 Florida Gators at the LSU Tigers, who are 3-3. The Tigers are an 11-point dog in Death Valley. The over-under is 59. Undefeated number 11 Kentucky Wildcats. They are getting 23 points on the road in Athens to take on the number 1 Georgia Bulldogs. And at 7 Eastern on ESPN, Alabama, number 5 in the land. They are a 17-point favorite at the Mississippi State Bulldogs. 7:30 Eastern, it's Ole Miss, number 13 and 4-1 on the year. They travel to Knoxville to take on the Tennessee Volunteers. The Vols are a 3-point underdog. The over-under is 82. Also in the SEC, number 21 Texas A&M at noon Eastern on SEC Network. They're a 9-point favorite at Missouri. 59.5 is the number. And Vanderbilt is getting 18 at South Carolina, with 51 being the over-under. In the ACC at 12:30, Duke is getting 11 points on the road at Virginia. The over-under is 69. The Miami Hurricanes are getting 7.5 at North Carolina. The over-under is 63. And the Pittsburgh Panthers, 4-1 on the year. They're a 4.5-point favorite in Blacksburg as they take on Virginia Tech. The number is 57.5. Number 22, North Carolina State at 4-1 Boston College. The Wolfpack are giving up 3 on the road. 52 is the over-under. Other top 25 action, number 10, Michigan State, minus 4.5 at Indiana. The Oklahoma State Cowboys are getting 5.5 on the road in Austin, taking on the Longhorns. TCU, plus 13.5 in Norman as they battle the Sooners. The over-under is 65. And Purdue, plus 11.5 at number 2 Iowa. Over-under is 43. BYU, now 19th in the land. They're at 5-1 Baylor. The Bears are a 6.5-point favorite. The over-under is 50.5. And the Fighting Herm Edwards, Arizona State Sun Devils, number 18 in the country. They're at Utah. It's a pick'em, and the over-under is 50.5. On Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on CBS in London, England, the Jacksonville Jaguars are 3.5-point dogs to the Miami Dolphins. The over-under is 47. Your Sunday afternoon action gets going at 1 p.m. Eastern, and here are the lines. The Colts, 9.5-point favorites at home. 42.5 is the over-under against the Texans. Bears and Packers, Green Bay, minus 45.5. The number is 45. The Bengals are 3.5-point favorites in Detroit against the Lions. 47.5 is the over-under. Rams, minus 9.5 in New York, taking on the Giants. 48.5 is the number. And the Chiefs, 7-point favorites in Washington. The over-under is 55.5. Panthers and Vikings, Minnesota giving up a point on the road, 46 is the number. And the Chargers are at the Ravens. Baltimore, a 3-point favorite against LA, 52 is the number. Later action, beginning at 4:05 Eastern, Cardinals and Browns. Arizona is a 3-point dog on the road, 49.5 is the over-under. Raiders and Broncos at 4:25. Denver giving up 3.5, 44 is the over-under. Cowboys and Patriots, your game of the day. The Cowboys are giving up 3.5 on the road to New England. The over-under is 51. And Sunday Night Football, the Pittsburgh Steelers host the Seattle Seahawks. Pittsburgh is a 5-point favorite with the over-under being 42.5. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the ground.
Good morning. Welcome to Take Me Out to the Ball Game today as we get rolling here on a Saturday morning. Had a little issues getting everything going this morning, but that's okay. Then I hit the wrong clip. It's supposed to be an edited version to just give you the Saturday morning point spread, so I do apologize for that. But we are ready to roll. Tony and Bobby and Joey and I'm sorry, not Joey, Angelo and Tones will all join us here in a second. And at that point, I'll turn on the video, but I like to start off the show with a little old time radio. And so that's why you only see the picture and hear the voice because, well, you don't want to just look at me. So there you go. It has been heard. It has been heard by all, or it has been heard by me, said by all. Nobody just wants to look at my idiot face. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive into the baseball that's at hand. The Houston Astros winning. Man, if y'all missed that game last night, you really are cheating yourself. If you're a sports fan and you're not watching these baseball playoffs, first of all, I question your sports fanhood. That's number one. You're not really a sports fan. If you're not watching the baseball playoffs, you're kind of an idiot. But you are missing out, my friends. Don't call yourself a sports fan if all you ever watch is football. If all you ever watch is football, then you're just a football fan. You're my grandmother. But if you're a sports fan, someone who loves to watch the competition, these games are unreal. Last night, Houston won 5-4, and the home run, the Correa hit to extend the lead, where he points at his wrist saying, "It's my time, it's my time." Now, it'll be interesting to see if Boston takes offense to that because they've been known to do that. Especially, I think this is the kind of stuff that Eovaldi was alluding to, that he doesn't like a lot of the players on the Astros. Regardless, for the fan, if you're not a fan of the Astros or the Red Sox, and you're just there to watch a good series, which is what I'm there to do, it's great theater because I can't wait to find out what happens today at 4:00. They will. What time is their actual first pitch? 4:20. That's right. That's right, baby. It's 4:20. So such a weird time for them to pick. But 4:20 Eastern, they will start their game. Now the Braves Dodgers, we will have that here. I'll be doing the play-by-play for anyone that wants to tune in. We appreciate everyone that listens and even more that comments. It's always good to know who's there, who's listening. Comment as much as you like. That's what it's there for. I had someone inbox me the other day asking me if I didn't want comments, and that's farthest from the case. Now, if it's a goofy comment that it's not relevant to what we're doing, I might delete it just so that it doesn't confuse the next person coming on. But we want the comments. We absolutely want the comments, especially if you're a Braves fan or you're just happen to be pulling for the Braves because you don't like the Dodgers, whatever the case may be. You might be an Astros fan or a Red Sox fan, and you're pulling for Atlanta because you know you've got a better chance of beating Atlanta than you do Los Angeles. So whatever the case may be, I'm going to be looking forward to anyone that comments and whatnot. And so it's always fun to see that. I put the only comments I ever put in there is to keep people up to par, because I know what happens. People tune in and out during our commercial breaks. And so that's why I'm constantly putting what time of the game is, what inning we're in, what's the score, et cetera, et cetera. That way, if you're joining in, you're like, what's going on? Because the problem is we just have an issue with YouTube, and they don't, or I guess it's really an issue with Zoom going on to YouTube. The commercial breaks that we play will go in and out, and there's nothing to be done. I have done everything known to man to try to fix this, and it's the way they catch it, and it just is what it is. On the lives, you're gonna have that issue. I've never had one single issue when I record it and put it up. It's only on the lives. So basically what's happening is that the two apps don't talk to each other well, and so it is what it is. But that's why I'm constantly putting the scores in and whatnot. But we always love to see people's comments, and even if it's go Braves, you know what I mean? Like knowing that people are watching and listening and having a good time. So I look forward to that. It's Max Fried. They're saying it hasn't been updated officially on the MLB website, but what they are saying is that they fully expect that it's going to be Max Scherzer. So it's going to be the battle of the Maximus. Scherzer versus Fried tonight. And I'm telling you right now, this isn't just the Braves fan in me. This is the baseball fan in me. If that's the case, if it's Fried versus Scherzer, that's one of the reasons why you can't find the line on it this morning, because they haven't officially announced it. When they officially announce it, that's when you'll see a betting line come up. That's going to help you if you're planning on taking the Braves and Max Fried, because it's going to make him, I don't know if he'll be an underdog, but it'll be somewhere around a pick 'em. If it's Tony Gonsolin versus Max Fried, then it's probably going to be like a minus 135, minus 140, something like that. Right now, the way it stands, the series prices you can get, and I'm glad I waited, because when it first came out, they were calling the lines at plus and minus. When the Braves first came out, their line was minus 140. I'm sorry, plus 140. And then it creeped up to 160 yesterday afternoon. Well, this morning it's plus 175. So if you take the Braves, you're getting a plus 175. And you're going with the Dodgers, it's minus 220. If you're going to take the Dodgers, I'd say bet the individual games. And the reason why I say that is minus 220 on a series where the team doesn't have home field advantage, you're not getting very good bang for your buck. You're better off just betting individual games. But if you think the Braves have a chance, which I do believe they have a chance, I went ahead and took it. I'm not afraid to tell you, plus 175. I didn't put a lot on there, but you can almost double your money. If you put $50 on there, you'll get what is that, about 90 back, somewhere in that ballpark. So if you bet 100, you would get 175 back. So I guess if you bet 50, it would be somewhere in the 85, 90 range. But I think it's worth a shot. They've got home field advantage. Max Fried's going to go a bare minimum 2 times. He has the best ERA in baseball after the All-Star break. The best. It's not even close. 1.74 ERA after the All-Star break. And Max Scherzer, if he pitches tonight, I get it. He's a Bulldog, and I'm not going to say that I question Max Scherzer's ability in the postseason at all. But what I am saying is this. He's going on very short rest. So I know in theory he pitched on Monday. So he'd be pitching on his normal rest. But remember, he pitched on Thursday. That I know it was just one inning. A lot of times you get the strong toss, the one inning. But there's more energy that goes into throwing that one inning of a close. You're closing a series out. So it's not your typical, it's my throw down, I'm getting my arm loose for my next start. It really isn't. And I think that plays into the advantage for the Atlanta Braves. Tonight for the Boston-Houston game, by the way, it's Eovaldi versus Luis Garcia, advantage Red Sox. I would not bet Houston's a -130. I would not take that. Not saying that Houston can't win that game, but Eovaldi is an absolute bulldog. And I have no desire to go up against Eovaldi in any kind of bet. The guy's just been absolute money during the playoffs. And I believe that he's honestly one of the best postseason pitchers around. Chris Sale last night looked like what I expected from Chris Sale. Chris Sale does not have it. And they keep rushing him out there. And I think what you have to do now, if you're core in the Red Sox, is expect about 3 innings from Chris Sale. So he's basically like an opener at this point, because eventually, second time through the lineup, people start to see him and they start raking him. I don't think that's going to be the case for him next year. I just believe that he hasn't really gotten his groove, and it's hard to do that the way he came back. And so by next year, Chris Sale should be pretty close to what Chris Sale was pre-injury, which was devastating wipeout stuff. Right now, he's just trying to dance through the tulips. If you can get 3 solid innings, I don't think he quite got 3 innings yesterday. I think he got into the 3rd inning. I'm going to pull it up real quick. But if you can get 3 innings of, let's say if you can rely, so yeah, he went 2 2/3, gave up 1 earned run. They had to bail him out. Ottavino came in and had to bail him out with ducks on the pond. So Sale, to me, if you can somehow get 3 innings of no run baseball, man, I'm yanking him and going on to the bullpen. Sale is a bullpen game. It just is. And, for that matter, Valdez pitched terribly. But Valdez is a pretty decent pitcher. We're going to go ahead and bring Tony on here in 1 second. Let me see if I can get the right video pulled up. And we will go on from here. Go ahead and bring him in, and away we go to Dixie Football Nation.
Hyperbole is done. Now we can finally play the game. It is the 3rd Saturday in October, and the show is on one more time in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Live in Tallahassee, the capital of the great state of Florida.
There's no law against scalping tickets in this part of the country, and premium prices have been paid.
That's Desmond going in motion. 2nd down and 5 for Michigan, playing on real grass at Michigan Stadium. Going to the sideline.
Go. 56-yarder. It's got, does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game.
quite the most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football.
In trouble in the backfield, wants to throw now, and he's going to go deep.
Deep, and I mean, Tyree Cleveland. Full of grace for the Gators.
Barkley trying to bounce it.
It's a scare. Saquon Barkley in the field. Saquon Barkley. Oh, electric. 79 yards.
It's a 31-30 game, and what does Nebraska do?
I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. He's decided to go for two and take his shot and win it. I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
And if in 48 seconds they become the winner, they certainly deserve to be national champions.
The Seminoles of Florida State, one of the great traditions in college football, and then becoming one of the nation's favorite rivalries. It's a battle for flagging rights and recruiting advantages in the state of Florida as the Gators come calling, and Chief Osceola ready to get it started. College football. Matchup from the state of Florida. The Gators against the Seminoles on an overcast day in Tallahassee. Throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it.
Today, we've got number 1 Seminoles against number 2 Hurricanes. They meet in the capital city of Tallahassee.
Good morning and welcome to the Dixie Football Nation by the Armchair Quarterbacks, and Bobby and Tony jumping on with me early. Tony, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
Good, man. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Bobby, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great over here. How are you?
Good. I see you got your Predators hat on. Good job against
I do, yeah.
Kraken there, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Great way to start the season against the expansion team.
Justin. Not a happy camper yesterday. He's a huge Predators fan.
They won on the ice and in the stands apparently the other night.
Yeah, they won in the stands, but we lost on the ice. The Kraken beat the Predators.
I was gonna say, you know me, I can keep up with about one hockey team, and that about does it. So.
I can barely keep up with one hockey team. I just watched the Preds score. Once the playoffs come, I'm all in. Prior to that, I just kind of watch the ticker. I go, oh man, they won. Oh man, they lost, and I'm like, I have no idea what the record is. I always have to search it. Even if I just searched it the day before, I go, oh, that's right. Crap, I forgot. Same thing with basketball. The Celtics were on last night. And I started to get excited. I go, wait a minute, the season didn't even start till Tuesday. What don't, this is preseason basketball on a Friday night on ESPN. There was like 3 football games on. Like, they couldn't have put that on. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Anyways, great baseball game last night. We was just talking about that, and we look forward to today's action doubleheader. 4:20, Red Sox and Astros. At 4:20, and then the Braves and Dodgers at 8:07. We'll have the call here at 8:07. Cannot wait for that game. They're talking crazy like they're going to put Scherzer out there again. So I kind of hope they do, because, I mean, if there's any way to wear out that robot's arm, it might be to just pretend like he didn't throw on Thursday. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive into the football action, because this is the football show, and away we go. We'll go ahead and get the Gators going here, as we've got, what is it? It's a noon kickoff in Baton Rouge. Tony, what say you on the Florida Gators, now a 12-point favorite as we look at the lines this morning?
Honestly, this is a game that if Florida loses this, there are huge red flags all over the world about where this program is headed. LSU.
Do they have to blow them out for you to be happy, or
no. I'm good with just win. I would like to look good, but no, it's not one of those games, especially after Kentucky. Like I'm just happy. Like just give me a win on the road. I have Florida just winning by 3. I think it was. I have to look it up. I think I had 31-28 or 34-31. One of those two. LSU's got so many guys out. You had, what happened last year. LSU's won 2 in a row. So they really need to get this win out there. Everything's set up perfectly. Like I said, LSU's got a bunch of guys out, and they're impact guys too.
Over-under's 59.5.
Yeah.
Does that sound too high? Because to me, that sounds a little high.
Yeah, mine would be the over, but
the over. Okay.
Yeah, mine would be just barely over, but I mean, like I said, that's me probably just being pessimistic about this defense and how LSU was able to make plays when it mattered last year. Johnson's back at quarterback. He's doing, not bad. He's not the one really to blame for all of this. The biggest thing for LSU.
Shoes this afternoon.
Yeah, we're gonna keep those laced up. The biggest thing for LSU to me is they're almost unrecognizable in the trenches this year compared to where they've been and where they really should be under Orgeron. That their biggest thing should be pushing guys around, and you've got so many finesse guys on the outside. The finesse guys will always be there for LSU, but if they can't do anything on the line of scrimmage, I think that's kind of been their downfall. So this is like one of those like win one for the Gipper kind of games. But like I said, a lot of guys have either quotation marks opted out, or they've elected to go ahead and have whatever surgery they need to have, or they're just kind of taking a seat today for whatever reason. But noon start out there, it'll be it'll still be a big crowd, but it's not going to be 98,000 screaming drunk lunatics. It's going to be 85,000 or so people that probably shaken off last night. So everything's set up for Florida to go out there and win, so they might as well go ahead and do so.
Bobby, what say you?
Yeah, with the injuries LSU's having and just the fact that their team just doesn't look as good as it once did, I think this is a game that Florida should win pretty handily. I'm not going to go into it with the expectation that we'll blow them out, but I think I don't think there's a reason we shouldn't. It's LSU just has not looked good, and I think there's a little bit of an emotional factor with it too, given that they kind of spoiled our season last year. I think we're going to want to go out there and beat them pretty bad, and whether that will happen, I'm not really sure, but I don't think there's a reason it shouldn't be a blowout. Florida's a much better team.
Yeah, the injuries they have, it's ridiculous.
It sounds exactly. I could almost just replay exactly what y'all said right before Kentucky kicked the crap out of Florida. I mean, right before.
Yeah, and same.
We're gonna blow them out. Oh yeah, they're gonna learn what Florida football is, and the next thing you know, I'm like, dude, what is going on?
If this were to be a loss today, it'd probably it wouldn't, I guess, end it immediately, but I think it would start the downfall of the Mullen era. I think that'd probably.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I mean, the Kentucky game, I had the same spread. I had 3 points as well. The list of injuries though for LSU it's borderline ridiculous. Like Stingley's out.
I am with you though. I don't mean to cut you off, but the fact that Ed Orgeron has a defensive line that's basically a sieve is strange. I can deal with it if I'm an LSU fan. I can understand all the rest of it, right? But Ed Orgeron, like that's supposed to be his meat and potatoes, is being able to win the line of scrimmage. And even his national championship team, they didn't have a dominant defense. Their offense was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And Brady took that with them over to Carolina. He wished he could have taken Joe Burrow with him, but he took that to Carolina. So I believe this team, realistically, here's what I think. The grumblings begin for fire Orgeron, bring back Brady to now. Whether or not he wants to be in the NFL or college football, I don't know. But there's going to be some grumblings if they go 3-4 and they don't look good today. As much as y'all are concerned with the Mullen era, think about an LSU fan.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think LSU's schedule to close up the year is also pretty rough.
It is.
So it's not like this is a game they can really bounce back from if they lose.
They're like Florida
ugly
State
loss
West right now. They're like, man, I don't know how the hell we're gonna get in a bowl game. That's what they are right now. I don't know, man.
And I don't know if Joe Brady really is even going to pay any thought to come back to college, because I have a feeling he'll be getting calls to come coach an NFL team this offseason.
No, but what I'm saying is, where's your heart at? Because there are some coaches that love the college game. There are other coaches that hate it, that want the NFL. And I think the more and more things have changed, I think more and more guys are going to be drawn towards the NFL, because college is becoming so much like the NFL in the fact that you can lose guys just like free agency. You can lose them because of the transfer portal, right? And so you're constantly dealing with that and the constant recruiting and the portal. I think the college game is a little more exhausting than what the NFL game is. So I'm with you. I think he stays in the NFL, but I don't know. I don't know if he what if he just as heart of hearts, I love college football. What if he's an Urban Meyer type who, can't keep his hand off the local talent, right? And he's like, dude, I could score in freaking in Louisiana, I don't know what his personal life is like. But LSU will not put up with year after year of crap. They put up with last year sucking after the national championship. You're going to get the pass there. And I don't think they'll fire him this year because he's Coach O, and he just won a national championship 2 years ago. But next year, if his team looks like this again, mediocre at best, that's where it's going to start. But I do understand what you and Tony are getting at. If Mullen were to lose this game, Tony, you've been a Gator fan your whole life. Do you think the Gators would run out Mullen?
No, I think it's just more of if they lose today, it's more of an indictment of him. Whereas to me, it would prove that he's a really good coach that is going to peak every 3 or 4 years or so. But losing games like this is going to
Gator Nation be okay with that?
I mean,
probably not
if Georgia's rattling off, SEC's titles year after year and all that. But yeah, it's not like, fire this guy or anything like that. But it's more of a, this guy's going to be a good coach and will pop up every few years, maybe make a run at something. But it would start the trend or keep the trend going after that Kentucky loss, that he's a very good but not great or elite coach. Maybe there's a ceiling there. I think that thought's what kind of creeps into Florida fans' minds if something like that happens. That said, I do think we win today, but a loss is all of a sudden a decent season becomes a super disappointing season.
What record would the Gators have to have this year for Gator fans to not to actually fire him, but they start saying he's on the hot seat and he better turn around next year or else?
7-5, 6-6, probably. 8-4 is disappointing, but stuff happens, kind of thing. Problem is that Kentucky loss doesn't give you any margin for error, because you still have Georgia coming up in a few weeks, and you still got to take care of business with the other games. Now the November schedule isn't necessarily daunting. FSU's obviously playing a little bit better the last few weeks, but the Missouri game's not as
Missouri's terrible.
Yeah, Missouri's not good. You're still going up there on a sleepy November time where you have to.
You've only got one more game that I could think that you're going to be an underdog in.
Yeah, but you're right. The Georgia game, but just go win this game, and so we don't have to have this conversation on next Saturday where we're like, all right, well, when Georgia beats
us. So basically they're sitting at 2 losses. I predict beginning of the year that they would lose 3.
Yeah, 9-3 here too. It's just you try and avoid that pop-up loss against Kentucky, Missouri. But
I remember your godfather, Matt Carr, thought I was nuts at the time, Bobby. But I was like, dude, I'm not saying this great Florida team that everyone else is saying.
Mm-hmm.
If they only lose to Georgia, that's where they'll be at, is 3 losses.
Yeah, and that's fine. As much as I hate losing to Georgia, that's
even if Georgia wins the national championship and is donned the greatest team in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think they're going to win it this year. I think they're well on track to do that.
If they don't.
Yeah.
And so we have officially put the kiss of death on the Georgia Bulldogs. They will lose.
That's fine with me.
Fine with me too. I'm not a Bulldog fan by any stretch of the imagination. I pull for Georgia one day of the year, and even then, I'm always like, I won't be pulling for them this year because Florida has no chance of getting in the national championship picture. And I'm always more of the fact of who has more to lose. I'm pulling for the other side. But yeah, that's anyways, moving on from that. A quick score. Tony, you said what, 34-28? So
yeah, I either had 31-28 or 34-31. I gotta find it.
Okay.
I'll find it for you.
Bobby, what is your score prediction?
I'll say 31-21 Florida.
I'm gonna say it stays on the under. I like your score 31-21. I'll put it somewhere around, I don't know. Florida should be able to score. I have my questions about the ability of LSU to score. So I'll say 35-23. Some goofy 2-point conversion thing keeps it just under 60. Ole Miss and the Vols, huge game for both programs tonight. That game is 7:30 Eastern. Ole Miss, strangely enough, they're favored in Knoxville. And I didn't even think about this when we were first talking about it yesterday with Justin, the fact that this is a big game for Tennessee fans because of the fact that this is Kiffin coming back to Knoxville, right? And so it's going to be a night game. That place is going to be rocking. Before Justin brought that up to me, I was thinking I'm going to take Ole Miss on the money line because the money line at that point was like -130, which isn't a bad get. Now I'm steering clear of it. Now I have no desire. I don't trust it because first of all, these two teams, the over-under is 82. These two teams should put up a lot of points. And a night game in Knoxville when Tennessee is decent is a difficult place to play. And Ole Miss's defense has looked like junk. Tennessee's defense hasn't looked great either. But the back and forth, I'm more likely to take Tennessee just because they're getting points. And I could see this game coming down to like what happened with Ole Miss last week where they only won by a point because of the 2-point conversion. I'm going to call this game. I'm going to go ahead and take Tennessee. I'll say they win something like 41-38. Tony, what say you?
Yeah, that's probably about right. If these two don't score in the 60s or something before it's over with, it's going to be awesome. I'm kind of glad it's the nightcap because it'll be one of those just kind of like prop your feet up and watch both of these teams have at it. Hooker's done really well for Tennessee. Once he kind of used the Florida game to kind of get settled in a little bit, and since then he's played really well. And Matt Corral is always an adventure back there. Really, to me, it's whichever quarterback doesn't turn the ball over, I think that team's going to win. And I'm with you, like, there's hesitation in picking this game, but I think I'm going to take Kiffin to maybe steal one on the road here. But it's going to be a blast. These two teams don't play enough. It's one of those games that kind of went away when expansion and all that kind of stuff. But if you watch, Ole Miss put out a really cool video yesterday with some super old highlights from old Ole Miss Tennessee games. And that was really cool to see. And it's one of those, both the uniforms look clean and everything about this game screams SEC, except for both teams scoring in the 50s tonight. So I've got Ole Miss 56, Tennessee 52 in some ridiculous game that we'll all probably talk about for a long time.
Bobby, what say you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with 47-44 on my score prediction in favor of Ole Miss. Like you guys have both said, I think this is going to be one of the best games of the night, if not the best. I think it'll be high scoring, very high scoring. I think Knoxville is going to be rocking tonight. They're a team that has a little bit of hope now. Hooker, he's looked great for Tennessee so far. Corral, obviously, he's a Heisman favorite. I see no reason why this shouldn't be a slugfest, high-scoring game. But I think Ole Miss, I think they're going to take it, but I think Tennessee is going to have a lot to be hopeful about after this one too.
That game, well, south of the Mason-Dixon line, it'll have more eyeballs on it than the ABC night of game of the night. There was it's a Oklahoma and TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, that just seems forced. Like, why is that why is Oklahoma State and Texas not the game? At least
I feel like every Oklahoma game's at least close though. They're playing every game
I
pretty
get
close.
that part, but TCU, they're not even ranked.
Yeah.
That's your national night. ABC has done a terrible job of picking games this year. And I don't understand unless they just don't have the broadcasting rights for whatever reason. But I feel like that they could throw their weight around since they are the night game. They've got to do something with whatever new package that they come up for broadcasting rights to get better matchups on their ABC game of the week. It sucks. Oklahoma TCU. I don't even know if I'll have that on. And you know me, I normally have like nine games on at once.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I assume Oklahoma's eventually going to crap the bed. I don't think it'll be tonight, but I assume that they will. So I don't even look at them as a national championship contender per se. And so I would much rather watch Ole Miss versus Tennessee. And I believe there's a couple other night games that are coming. Yeah, Bama, Mississippi State. Let's go ahead and jump on that one. Bama, Mississippi State. Plus 17 to 7:00 Eastern on ESPN. That seems forced. I feel like the Ole Miss Vols game should be the ESPN game. Mississippi State, the cowbells ringing, yeah, whatever. I think Bama's going to absolutely roll them because they're coming off a loss, and Saban had them running stadium stairs and everything else. And I don't think Mississippi State will be able to move the ball on Alabama enough. And Bama's going to try to open it up and get there. They're still in the top 5, which is absurd, but that's just the way that the national media does it. Tony, remember back in the day when you would lose a game, you'd fall like 10, 12 spots.
Right. Yeah.
And now it's like, well, but they're still the best team in the country, so I'm going to put them up there. I had an argument this morning about how even if they lose to Georgia, you still got to put them in because they could have the best roster. That's not what the national championship of college football was ever supposed to be about. It's always supposed to be about the entire season. And so the last 15 years, it's been a fraud because it's supposed to be about the entire season. It's not supposed to be about who you think the best team. If the best team at the end of the season was going to be put in the national title game, then damn it, Bobby Bowden should have like 7 national championships. Because by the end of the season, Florida State was always the best team in the country, but because we missed a wide right or we lost to Southern Miss on opening day, whatever stupid reason we had a loss, we were never allowed to get in. Now they're all like, screw it. It's that team's good. You got to put them in. Like what? It's so you're going to have Alabama lose like 3 games before you concede defeat on the fact that they don't belong. And rant. I've got Bama winning by 20, even with all that. Bobby, what say you?
Yeah, I'm with you. Saban, I can't imagine he was too happy after last week's loss, especially to a team like Texas A&M. Had no business losing that game, even if it's an away game. I think Alabama's going to come out. They're going to start out red hot. They're going to pull away fast, and I think they're just going to burn the clock until this is over. But I see them winning pretty big today.
What's your score?
42-13.
Oh,
yeah, I think it's going to be over.
And that's going to be your ESPN game, and in the same company, the ABC game is going to be the Oklahoma game. They're like, dude, TBS is crushing us on ratings right now. Tony, what say you?
Well, real quick, the other thing that stinks about the Tennessee game being on SEC Network, you don't get ESPN's guys doing the game. You get like Jordan Rodgers, and they're not bad, but it's not the same as having, your ESPN guys. So, so every time I see this game, I think of the one trivia deal, which is these are the 2 closest schools location wise.
You are going to dodge a bullet, though. I don't mean to cut you off, but last night I flipped over to the Oregon game for a minute, and Beth Maryland was on the call.
Right.
I was like, God. I was literally going to go over there and watch a few minutes of it. They were doing a pitching change or something on the baseball game. I was like, nope. I can't listen to that junk.
That game popped on, and I said, all right, well, we'll catch the same thing. We'll catch the end of Red Sox Astros and call it a night. So woke up this morning, Oregon won, and I didn't have to listen to her for 4 hours. Mississippi State and Alabama are the 2 closest schools mileage wise to each other in the SEC. I always think that's a cool fact. Just to me, though, Mississippi State is going to get killed. They only run 3 plays, I'm convinced, and Alabama can actually cover those mesh crossing routes. So I think Alabama wins handily, like 38-6.
All right, Kentucky, Georgia. That's the game of the day in the Southeastern Conference, or at least that's what they're telling us. The over-under's 44.5, which is a low-scoring game, but yet Georgia's still a 21.5-point favorite. I'm not drinking this Kool-Aid again, where Justin tried to convince me that Kentucky had a chance in this game to cover and whatnot. I'm not drinking this Kool-Aid. I think Georgia blows their doors off. I hope they do, because I'm taking Georgia in real life. I got it back when it was down to 20, so I bought the hook and have it down to 19.5. I'm thinking Georgia absolutely destroys Kentucky, and Kentucky can never get any points going. I'm thinking something like 38-7. Tony, what say you?
I'm with you. I think Georgia's going to beat the crap out of Kentucky, and then they're going to go into the stands and go after the football players' families, and it's going to get ugly in Athens. I got Georgia.
Why are they going to do that?
44-14.
You got some breaking news that I don't know.
Yeah.
Why are they going after their families?
They're really pissed at Kentucky.
Okay.
I got 44-14. The only reason Kentucky scores 14 is the third stringer for Georgia comes in and throws a couple pick sixes. But other than that,
either that or the entire Georgia defense is in the stands beating the pulp out of everyone wearing Kentucky blue.
Going around asking who wants some. So I think, like I said, Kentucky's whatever on Kentucky, but I think Georgia's going to beat the crap out of them. And I might actually
interested in that Georgia Florida game to see if someone can make, because we obviously won't see them play Bama till the end. I want to know how dominant this Georgia defense really is, right? Because every team that they've played, and I'm not taking anything away from Georgia, I do believe they have the number 1 ranking for a reason, but every team they've played, they have totally dominated the offense, but these are pretty bad offenses they've gone up against.
Mm-hmm.
I thought someone put a tweet out yesterday. I don't know who it was. It's one of those things that like trends, so it ends up in your timeline because you read a lot of sports stuff. And whoever it was said, I still can't get over the fact that it took a pick 6 for Georgia to beat Clemson. I'm like, that's a good point, because Clemson somehow, some way at the time we thought this offense is trash, and the offense is trash. But we were like, man, this is just ridiculous. Blah, 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 blah. Both these teams could be overrated. And come to find out, you can't move the ball on Georgia. And I think the team over under, I have to pull it up, but I think it was like around 14.5. I don't think there's any way I would take Kentucky to get 14. They've got to get 15 points for me to win the bet. How's that going to happen?
Yeah, I was going to say, unless, Beck comes in as third string and throws a pick or something, it's still going to be Bennett. I think there's no reason to not go with him, even if Daniels is healthy. They only need him to throw like 15 passes a game because Georgia's never behind. So, but I'm with you. I do want to see in a few weeks if Florida can somehow get up on Georgia, how they react. They haven't had to do that.
No, it's 10.5. I can't even argue that. So Kentucky's got to get in the end zone twice for you to win the bet.
Yeah, essentially.
I don't see how it's going to have to be like a kickoff return for a touchdown or something.
Yeah. Like Kentucky runs the ball okay. The Williams kid, number 1, he's a great playmaker, but other than that, like Levis is just okay. Georgia will handle them, I think, pretty easy, and then both have a bye week next week.
Jordan Rogers should be broadcasting that game. That's all I'm saying. That's Kentucky Ole Miss would have been a better SEC game on the CBS game is what I mean. But I get it. Number 1 versus number 11. You're supposed to, respect the undefeateds and all that kind of junk. But I have a hard time doing it. Mm-hmm. Good morning, Mr. Tones. How are you? I don't think he can quite hear us yet. He's either muted or something. But anyways, finishing up the SEC action, A&M, Missouri, 59.5. Missouri's getting 11. Some idiot this morning was trying to convince you that Missouri's a scary team and blah, 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 blah. Watch out for that offense. I'm like, I get it. The A&M could be sleepwalking because it is an early game. It's on the road. You just beat Bama. If it was a coach that wasn't worth a damn, I'd say yeah. But I don't think Jimbo Fisher's going to let them sleepwalk. Anyone giving Missouri a realistic shot of beating A&M?
Well, my entire logic going into it was that, the only way Missouri is going to win this game or probably even cover is if A&M goes into this kind of hungover from last week's big win. But yeah, Jimbo Fisher, he has a ton of experience. He's a great coach. And I don't think he'll let his team do that.
Tony, what about you?
I think same thing. It's honestly, it's a similar game to Florida LSU where, you can't have that big win and then, drop one to Missouri. The only thing that's concerning about Missouri is when you play out there, the stands are kind of away from the field and there's no atmosphere there. You kind of have to create your own juice, and then the game's early. But I think A&M will be fine. They'll win this like 24-10, even if they do sleepwalk through it, and just kind of go from there. I was looking at next week's schedule because you were talking about the CBS game of the week, and I cannot believe that next week's CBS game is LSU Ole Miss at 3:30. And then Tennessee Bama is at night next week. Like, that's crazy.
Is that in stone?
I think so.
Okay. Because used to, they would announce those on Sunday because for some reason the cutoff always had to be 6 days. You had to do it.
Yeah, they do so a couple times a year they can do the 6-day deal. The rest of it's the Monday 2 weeks before the game. So like Florida LSU was announced like 2 Mondays ago.
That is strange. LSU Ole Miss, who gives a crap?
Yeah, that's what I say, but I don't know.
So Alabama UT is a night game?
Yes.
Is it in Knoxville this year?
Let me see.
I feel like Tennessee gets the short end of the stick, and when they're in game,
they only play Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Apparently, that's in Tuscaloosa this year.
Okay, yeah, I feel like that's what happens because back in their heyday, you knew that on like even number years Tennessee had a chance, but on odd number years they were going to have to go to Gainesville and Tuscaloosa,
right.
And that was always going to be an issue. Okay, so that makes sense. But yeah, that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. And next week, if that Alabama-Tennessee game does go off at night, they could be going up against not only all the college football action, but that would be game 6 of the NLCS and game 7 of the ALCS.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got, I'm just talking about from a national perspective, if you got the game 7 on the ALCS going on during Tennessee, Alabama, you kind of lose a big audience there.
Mm-hmm. I think though that you could probably generate quite a bit of hype for the Tennessee Alabama matchup if Tennessee just close the doors out of this game today. If they look really good today, I could definitely see it happening.
But not if it's a night game. If it's the afternoon game, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. There's going to be a lot of competition.
Because you're always going to traditionally lose a lot of fanfare anyways on a Saturday night kickoff because a lot of times that's people's night to go out and actually do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we actually have Tones now. Tones, how are you?
Good. How we doing, fellas? Sorry about that. Not quite sure what the hell happened there, but it's early. My mic was discombobulated, as is I, but glad to be joining as always.
We're putting a lid on the SEC, so let's go ahead and do Arkansas, Auburn, 4.5-point favorite. Arkansas is. I kind of like Auburn in this game. The over/under is 54. I don't feel that great about it, but if you're going to give me points in this matchup, I'm going to take the team that has the points. And maybe I'm just still stung by how dominant Georgia looked over Arkansas, and that really has nothing to do with this game. But I kind of like Auburn to stay close. I think Arkansas probably gets the W because it's in Fayetteville, but over/under is 54. That seems a little high. Kind of like a low scoring game in here or lower scoring game in here where Arkansas pulls it out like 27-24. Tony, what say you?
Yeah, kind of the same thought, like Arkansas 17-13. It's kind of an old school SEC game.
Bobby?
I like what I saw from Arkansas last week and KJ Jefferson as well. They gave Ole Miss a hell of a fight. But I think they'll win. It won't be terribly high scoring, probably like 24-17.
Two teams that are better than I thought they would be, by the way.
Yeah. Tones, what say you?
Yeah, I think Arkansas covers as well. I think they win by a touchdown. I don't think it's too high of a scoring game, but I'm going with 23-16 Arkansas. I think they cover here.
Two teams that aren't any good, and we won't waste our time on it. Vanderbilt and South Carolina play today. By the way, Vanderbilt's an 18-point underdog. How bad do you have to be an 18-point underdog to South Carolina? Are you even really in the SEC at that point?
Maybe not for much longer.
Only their academic.
If you're going to bring in Oklahoma and Texas, they need to do something about Vanderbilt. I guess they bring the college baseball thing to the table, but they better win a national championship like every 3 to 4 years in baseball, where it's going to get ugly. They're going to be like, dude, you got to go because your basketball program is garbage now. In the ACC, we don't have a whole lot to really wrap our hands around, but Miami, North Carolina, which everyone thought at the beginning of the year was going to be this huge matchup and decide who's going to go to the ACC championship game to battle Clemson. Now it's like, who gives a crap? Even if one of these teams were to sneak in and Clemson, the ACC title game is not going to matter this year. Carolina's 7.5-point favorite. The over under 63. And of course, King is now done, right? Derek King. The biggest thing that I'm looking at this that has my interest is the over under being 63. I think that's pretty high considering the fact that Carolina only scored 25 against Florida State's terrible defense. And Derek King's not going to play. So where are all these points going to come from? Because that's insinuating there's going to be a shootout. And I don't see like a 35-31 shootout. I see a game where Carolina's going to win pretty comfortably, but like 28-13, 28-17, something like that. We'll start with Bobby. What say you?
Yeah, I think both of these teams have kind of fallen on their face this year. And with Derek King being out for the rest of the year, Miami just doesn't look like they're going to put up a lot of points. And Carolina doesn't look like they will either. I'm with you. I think I don't think they'll cover that. I'm taking the under for sure if I were to bet on it. I'll give a weird score. I'll go 29-19.
Tony, what say you? And has Sam Howell just absolutely trashed his NFL stock?
He'll still get a pretty decent look, I think. I'm more mad at these national guys for the last couple of years that have told me that Mac Brown coming back to North Carolina is going to be some sort of second coming and that he's going to, the program's going to have some kind of renaissance. He's got like 2 or 3 decent assistant coaches that can really recruit, but they're still North Carolina, and forever they'll be North Carolina, at least in football. I think they'll win today, all that said, because Miami's so bad. The Van Dyke kids played okay. He's not really the issue for them. I think their defense is still a giant disappointment for what Miami should be, especially when your coach has a defensive background. But yeah, I like North Carolina in this one, like 31-20. But Mac Brown his team can lay a big fat egg here and let Miami have a little bit of momentum headed into the next few weeks.
I do believe North Carolina is much better with Mac Brown there. They were a joke.
Fedora was horrible. Fedora had like one good season, and after that they were horrendous. And he's one of the most overrated coaches around too.
So I believe that North Carolina is going to be competitive on a national level for as long as Brown decides to coach, because he can recruit, and Carolina is making a financial commitment. So I don't know if he's necessarily a huge disappointment. I think this year is a disappointment. They thought that they were going to be A, and they're really more of a C squad. Tones, what say you?
Yeah, North Carolina's laid a clunker in every other game this year, pretty much. Good thing that they got that out of the way last week. I see them beating Miami pretty handedly this week. I don't think either of these teams are good football teams by any means, but I think North Carolina has a better coach and the better roster at this given time. And so funny for those quarterback drafty hopefuls at year's beginning. Spencer Rattler and Howell from North Carolina both have fallen off the ranks a little bit, but this could be one of those games where North Carolina, wins by 20. I got them winning 34-13 against Miami in this one.
All right. We'll go ahead and move on because it's about that time to go ahead and do our stupid underdog picks.
There's no need to fear. Stupid underdog is here.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and hit this with the. All right. So Angelo's going to join us a little later, but we always do it at this time. So, you know, if you crawl out of bed late, then you're just not going to get the first pick like you normally would do. So that's fine. What we'll do is we'll start off with who would be first, since Angelo's not here. When Angelo comes on, he can give us his pick. Bobby, you are in last place ish. You're a half point in front of Angelo, but he'll do his pick later. You're at 9.5 points, which isn't too bad. And I'll say most years you'd be right there in the thick of it. You get first dibs today. Where are you going?
I'll go TCU plus 13.5. And I know they're not a very good team, but Oklahoma has played almost every game this year very close, especially the Big 12 games. And they've gone down early. My only concern is that Caleb Williams has looked a lot better than Rattler. And, you know, if Williams plays like he did last week, I could see it getting ugly. But if it turns out how I expected it to, I think TCU will cover. And then they're averaging 235 rushing yards a game, and we saw what Bijan Robinson did to him last week. I think TCU has every opportunity to cover the spread at least.
I like that one a lot. It's actually at the top of my list because I always have to pick a bunch of them because I know I'm going to go last. I'm like, well, that one's gone. That one's gone. How long before Rattler hits that transfer portal, y'all?
Not too much longer. About one more Caleb Williams good game away.
He's going to go, I'm out. I got to go. It'd be interesting to see where he goes, but he's not a bad quarterback. He's just not as athletic. And so they're going to, I just think that that's the way Lincoln Riley's offense has to run is through the athletes.
That he's just not as good of a decision maker, I feel like. Forces a lot of bad balls.
Right. Maybe he can get somewhere else and they can fix that. I also think that with the Oklahoma offense, there's a lot of really quick decisions that have to be made. And maybe he's just not as comfortable as he should be at this stage. Tones, you are the next in line. You're at 13 points. And for people who have never seen this segment before, what we do is you take an underdog to win outright. If you get the W, you get those points. So, for instance, if Bobby gets TCU to actually win the game, he'll get 13.5. If they cover the spread, he gets 2. If they don't cover the spread, it's -2. Tones, where are you going today?
I'm going with the late nightcap of the day. I'm going with Hawaii plus 14 and Nevada.
I don't know why, but I knew you were going to take Hawaii. I just knew.
The Bear told me to, he called me this morning and I like Hawaii in this one. They had a bye week last week and then they're off a 2-game winning streak, and one of those wins came over Fresno State. One of those wins came on the road against New Mexico State. So 2 impressive wins for them. And I think they keep the line rolling here. Nevada has been impressive this year. They have a win over Boise State, but they're kind of due for a clunker. So I think that clunker comes today. Hawaii's not too much out of their time zone. You see Hawaii play down at times and they get out of their time zone, but 9:30 isn't far off from their normal kickoff time. They normally kick off 11 Central. I'm talking in terms of Central time. It should be noted. I feel like a lot of talk here is Eastern time. I got to shake the Central time talk and get on Eastern time. But Hawaii, for me, usually kicks off 11 Central time. Today it's 9:30 Central time. I like 14 points. I like Hawaii playing tough on the
real world lives in the Eastern time. Quit saying Central time. Just if we go by the assumption we're talking about the East.
Cool. 10:30. 10:30, buddy. There you go. That'll make you happy. We got Hawaii covering, if not winning, and that kicks off 10:30 tonight.
Even when I lived in Central time, I always knew to talk East when I was on radio because 65, almost 70% of the nation's population lives in the Eastern time zone.
Learn something new every day.
75%, over 75% of the nation's population lives east of the Mississippi. Why the hell are we all crammed over here on the right side? God, maybe we're doing it wrong, man. There's got to be a plot over in Nebraska that no one's paying attention to. Tony, you hit big last week. You got you hit the A&M 18, so you're sitting there at 18 points. What is your pick this week?
Well, holy crap. I will take I'm going to take UCF to.
You took my pick, son of a.
Yeah, UCF plays them close. I know UCF's beat up. There's no Gabriel. They're trying to get this true freshman quarterback going and all that kind of stuff. These games have been notoriously close. If there is a year Cincinnati will blow them out, it's this year. But I think UCF will keep it close, maybe even sneak out a win today.
Yeah, I do. I think UCF has a decent shot because their defense really has played decent football. They're whether or not they can score with Ritter and company, that's another question. But I think I think they will keep that game very close. All right. Well, I guess I'll just throw a one in the dark over here and hope a dart hits. I'm going to go with the game that I made fun of earlier then because it's the next one up on my board. The Vanderbilt Commodores, 18 points. And I think they'll at least cover the spread because it's South Carolina. Like, what the hell is South Carolina going to do? Blow somebody out? So I'm figuring I can at least get 2 points off of that. The South Carolina's got 3 wins. I'm looking at the BDCU, which is actually somewhat impressive. And then EIU, I'm not even going to click on that to figure out what that is. I'm thinking that's like maybe the eastern part of Illinois or Indiana, and Troy. So probably the most impressive thing is that they've beaten Troy, but they haven't been that competitive. And I also think it's going to be like a low scoring plot along type of game. Vanderbilt might fall backwards into some kind of a safety or something that makes the difference. So that's where I'll go with it. And we'll get Angelo's picks when he comes on. Man, Central Florida is the one I was hoping. I was like, man, Tony's going to grab. He's right in front of me. Stupid Tony.
It was either that or LSU. So we went UCF.
I had Vandy 18.5 right below the 22. I was one of the ones I was looking at that I might regret not taking was Army. Army's getting 14 against Wisconsin.
I thought about that one too.
They're kind of a pain in the butt. And I thought about just being a contrarian taking an LSU, but I really don't think LSU's any good. I really think that's just a swing and a miss if I go LSU. All right, so moving on from that, let's go ahead and start with our Big Ten talk. There's not a lot of big games, but I think there's a couple of interesting games in the Big Ten. We'll start with the Iowa-Purdue game because that team is ranked second in the country and it is on the national scale the most important game. Iowa, 11.5 point favorite. They might be a little wore out, a little burned out, a little hungover from the Penn State game. Tones, I'll start with you, but I think Iowa will probably make it very difficult for Purdue to score and just methodically pull away. 11.5 favorites and the over-under is 43. What are you liking?
I actually like Purdue to keep this one a close ball game, and Purdue's played some good football, competitive football this year to this point for the most part. I think that Iowa might be overlooking them a little bit perhaps after their big Penn State win last week, and honestly, if Clifford never goes down, who knows if Iowa does end up winning that game. But Iowa needs this game. It's part of their cakewalk schedule to end the year. If Iowa wins this game, this is one of their tougher games remaining on the schedule actually before the Big Ten championship kicks off and the road to the Big Ten playoffs kicks off. So I think Iowa knows they need to win this game. I think they win a close one, though. I see Purdue covering that 11.5. I think Iowa wins by a touchdown. I'm going with 27-20. Iowa takes on over Purdue.
Tony, what say you?
I like Iowa in this one as well. I kind of similar, like a 24-14 kind of game. That game the other day was great. We got back to watch most of the second half, and really impressed with both teams. I think whoever was, like we were kind of saying last week, whoever was the host of that game was probably going to win it. But yeah, Iowa's just they get a ton of turnovers. I look for them to get a few today, set them up with a short field, and I think they'll take care of business. And like Tone said, the just luck of the draw, the schedule's a total cakewalk unless they trip up against somebody. So, but yeah, they are it's not your. I haven't watched a lot of Iowa like through the years, but I know we run into them a lot of times in the Outback Bowl, and it's not your like plotting, bore you to death Iowa team. They're actually pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I like Iowa. I like watching Iowa because they do a lot of play action and roll off, and they don't hit the ball deep necessarily, but it's like you're saying, they don't just necessarily 3 yards in a cloud of get ready to punt.
Right.
So yeah, Purdue is a dangerous team. Purdue's always that fly in the ointment that everyone was like, I don't know about this, and it's hard to get up for a Boilermaker, right? I mean, unless you're tailgating. But Bobby, do you give Purdue any chance today?
I think Iowa's going to win, but they're in the back or they're in the home stretch of their schedule. I think there's going to be a lot of rivaling Big Ten teams that are looking to knock them off. So I think Purdue's going to be competitive. They're going to really want to win this game and spoil Iowa. But I do think Iowa will pull away. Their defense has been very good. I think they'll win a somewhat close one. I think it'll be 23-16 they win.
All right, moving on from that. This one is the one that I've got in my eye on. I took him as one of my picks yesterday. Rutgers, 2-point favorite in Northwestern. Northwestern has given up 500 yards total offense 3 times this year already. I'm a little surprised that this line's not a little bigger. And I think Rutgers goes over there into the Chicagoland area and puts it on the Wildcats. Tones, what say you?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And props to Rutgers, although they started the year 3-0, they had a tough 3-game stretch. They had to go to Michigan, face Ohio State, play Michigan State. They ended that stretch 0-3. They played competitive against Michigan, not so much the other two. But to me, they're due for a huge game today coming off that stretch. I think they're going to rock and roll. I think they're going to railroad Northwestern. I don't think it's even going to be close. Northwestern has been blown out by pretty much handful of Big Ten teams this year. I believe Michigan State blew them out in the beginning of the year. And then last time they played, Nebraska just ran the doors off of them. So I see Greg Schiano doing the same today. I think Rutgers wins by at least 10, if not 20 points in this one. I think Rutgers just absolutely annihilates Northwestern. I think that spread's way too low.
Tony, what say you?
Same thing. Rutgers like 42-20, something like that.
Bobby?
I like Rutgers in this game. I think they'll win pretty handily. Northwestern hasn't been good at all. So I'll go 34-20.
That's the second part of my teaser today. I'm getting 3.5 with Rutgers. I hit the first part with the Clemson-Syracuse game. I actually felt so good about that. I did it twice. I did Clemson-Syracuse straight up, and then I also teased it. I was like, what if I'm off by a few points? And I really like the Rutgers game. So for people that missed that, Clemson did hold on and win 17-14. What a dull-ass ball game that was. Welcoming onto the show, Mr. Angelo. Angelo, how the hell are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm going to enjoy the bye week, so I'm doing well. I don't have to stress out at all.
3 Saturdays in a row Florida State won't lose. That is just awesome. Probably 4. Is it next week, UMass?
Next week is UMass. Never know, though.
Getting ready for the big tilt against Clemson, who normally I'd be concerned about it because, like, man, they're going to be mad. They're going to run that score up because of what we pulled with the COVID thing last year. But I'm not, after watching them against Syracuse, I'm not as worried as I'm not saying we're going to win because it's in Clemson. It's a tough place, but I'm not concerned about it being like a 60-point blowout like I was before.
My thing is, what I don't know if you guys spoke about earlier, but why did Dino go for it on 4th and 1? Why didn't he go for it? Why did he try to kick? Why did he attempt the field goal? I think that was the wrong call.
Now, I missed the tail end of that game. What happened?
So they were driving down. It was 4th and 1 with about 40 seconds left, and it was a short one. And He called timeout. He didn't even let the clock wind down. He called timeout and then attempted a 49-yard field goal and missed it. Why wouldn't you go for it in that case?
Yeah, no, I missed that. I was watching the ALCS. I kind of dipped out right around the time that they made it 17-14. I started heading to bed. I was like, well, I can, and my wife's pretty cool, but she's not going to have me have the setup that I have in the living room and the bedroom with like 9 televisions. So I had to kind of pick and choose my, and by the time I flipped back over to ESPN to check on that game, the Beth Mallon's call had started with Oregon, excuse me. And I was like, I'm out of here. I can't listen to that junk. But that is strange because 49-yard field goal. I know you're in a dome, but I'm with you. That seems like a bad call, and that's strange because I like Dino Babers. I think he's a good coach. You would also think Dino Babers would want to try to win that game,
right?
Because what good? And to your point, what good does it do you to call a timeout if you kick the field goal? You're still giving Clemson 40 seconds.
That's what I was saying. Yep.
Yeah, that is a strange one. I don't know, but like maybe they just did not feel like they could get that yard. But I would rather die on that vine than. But this is coming from two Florida State guys. We don't ever trust a field goal kicker.
It's almost like one of those things where, like, just to make up two teams, like Western Michigan has a chance to beat Michigan, and they're playing them down to the wire, and then the coach does something instead of playing to win the game, he does something to not lose the game, and that's what Babers did last night. I was shocked by that as well. Like, just like play to win, go get your 1 yard, and worst case you kick a field goal to win it later, you score, or you're not going to lose it in regulation because Clemson's not going to have enough time to do anything.
He needs to watch Los Angeles Chargers football because last week the Chargers were down 14 on their own 24-yard line, 4th and 2 in the fourth quarter, and they went for it.
Right.
They got it, and the rest is history. The Chargers ended up winning the game. Yeah, that is a strange one. Angelo, we've already done the stupid underdog picks, so it's your turn to pick one. Real quick, the 4 teams that were taken: TCU, Hawaii, UCF, and Vanderbilt.
I'm taking UTEP.
UTEP. Who were they playing?
They are playing. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I know it's 6.5.
Okay.
They're playing, I think, Louisiana Tech.
Okay. 6.5. All right. I'll take your word for it. I did notice that Tony's favorite team, UTSA, they're a 17-point favorite against Rice. I almost took Rice just to poke at Tony, but I was like, man, I don't remember the last time Rice was relevant in anything.
America's team.
Rice?
Yes, UTSA.
The last time Rice was relevant was when that dude jumped off the sidelines and tackled. Was that Alabama? Who was it that jumped off the sidelines in like the 50s or whatever and tackled the Rice player running down the sidelines? I can't remember who that was.
So it sounds something very Alabama-ish.
It's a part of our intro. I'm just drawing a blank right now where the picture's being shown. And the guy got up, and I remember they interviewed the guy years later. He said, I don't know, because I just flipped out and didn't want to lose the game. So I tackled the guy because no one else would tackle him. Like, so obviously they gave the guy an automatic touchdown. But
it's funny. Rice still plays in like that 70,000 seat stadium that has hosted a Super Bowl or two, and they just tarp over about 90% of it and have like 10,000 people show up for games. It's the weirdest thing.
Rice fans have been socially distancing since 1972. All right, so you're taking UTEP plus 6.5. Okay.
Right.
Any idea what time that game kicks off?
9 o'clock.
Oh, okay. I'll figure that out around Monday or Tuesday. I'm staying up watching that. All right, moving on from that. I did save a couple of ACC games. Real quick, I do want to get your opinion on the Miami-North Carolina game. Do you give Carolina any chance of blowing this game against Miami, especially now with no Derek King?
No, I think I thought you were going to ask, do you give UNC any chance? No, I think UNC is going to win. I think they're going to handily, win the game. Last
7.5-point spread in the over/under 63. The consensus here was that it'll be a lower scoring ball game than 63.
Yeah, and we thought last week with the UNC was going to be a higher scoring ball game. Remember?
We thought a lot of things. The first thing I thought was I should have took them as the stupid underdog, but I never thought Florida State would hang in there. Never.
I think UNC's got it. Didn't one of their Miami's receivers call out UNC secondary too, or Miami's DB I think called out. What it was one of those. I don't know if anyone else could.
That part I didn't see, but with King being out, I just figured this Miami offense is nowhere near as dangerous as they thought it was going to be. Right. Miami really hasn't hit all cylinders. I wonder how much longer Diaz has. If he lays an egg and doesn't show up today and they lose by several points, I would be concerned if I'm Diaz on whether or not I make it to November.
Yeah, because if you're looking at their next 3 games, they're at UNC, which I think they're going to lose. Then they're home versus NC State. NC State's battling for
State's good
team appearance. Then they go at Pittsburgh, lost 4-1. So that's 4 straight losses if you include the Virginia game. And then they play versus Georgia Tech. That's a
loss.
At FSU,
loss.
Versus Virginia Tech, then at Duke.
They might win 2 more games. Duke, I give them a very good chance of winning that game just because they're going to have the better athletes. And even when Georgia Tech's not good, Georgia Tech always gives them a hard time. But yeah, I don't see Miami winning more than 5 at the very most. That's not going to keep his job.
Should he be catching heat for bringing King back too early?
I don't know if it matters anymore. It's kind of like saying, should Gruden be getting raked over the coals for being so committed to Derek Carr? I mean, I don't know. Who cares? He's fired. That's just kind of my take on that. I don't think they're going to be look, North Carolina, I'd be shocked if they don't lose this game. NC State's almost a given they're going to lose that game. Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh, really? They're going to be able to hang with that? Georgia Tech, Florida State, those are 2 games that they have a chance of possibly winning, but probably not the Florida State game because it's in Hassey now. And Florida State looks like they have a pulse. And then to me, Georgia Tech's a pretty decent football team. Solid. And then Virginia Tech, I mean, I think they've only got 1 game left where they're going to be the favorite, which is Duke. Maybe Georgia Tech, but probably not. If Georgia Tech is an underdog, it's by a point or 2.
Right now, you're looking at Wake Forest versus Pittsburgh ACC championship game.
Rock and roll, baby. Prime time. They're going to play that game at like 7 a.m. on a Wednesday on C-SPAN. That's going to be terrible. ESPN radio's already dipped off of it's going to be NPR. Oh my God. ACC, terrible season. It's actually been a fun, it's going to be competitive and fun, but from a national scale where all the, your, as they call them, the ham and eggers live, they're going, oh, this is terrible. It's boring. But honestly, it's to me, it's more entertaining because Clemson's not running away with a conference again.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God we're not going to see Clemson's ugly ass jerseys in the playoffs this year.
What's funny is if Florida State was in the Coastal, they'd be 2nd place right now.
That's stupid.
We'd still be alive for a championship berth.
There's so many things wrong with that statement. Look, what they've done the past couple of weeks is great, but that's just they're 2-4. Terrible football team. And they would have an actual chance. That's funny. Pittsburgh, to me, might be the best team in the ACC. And that win in Knoxville looks a lot more impressive now. It's between Pittsburgh and NC State, I guess.
You don't think Wake Forest is legit?
I just feel like eventually Wake Forest is going to run into a team that will methodically beat them on the line, because Wake Forest tries to catch you with a lot of misdirection and quick plays. They're going to try to beat you. They're almost like an entire roster full of Julian Edelmans, and they're going to try to quick dart you all over the place. And eventually they're going to run into a team that has a Derrick Henry. They're just going to mash over them.
So they're going to be 8-0 heading into November 6th at UNC.
Right. And they'll probably win that game. It doesn't, but if you're asking me who has the best roster, I think it's between NC State and Pittsburgh. But they could win the ACC. Incredible coaching job. They should definitely be 8-0. They're off today, right? And then they play at Army. I'll tell you what, that Army game's tricky. That's a tricky game. Because if you're not used to playing against that, the good news for them, they have a week off to prepare for that. Because that is a pain in the butt offense to have to deal with.
Isn't that odd that an ACC team is going to West Point? Was it a home and home?
That I don't know. I haven't boned up on my Wake Forest Demon Deacon football. Makes my eyes hurt. So
it looks like the previous matchup was 2016. So
I do know this.
I feel like they've played somewhat recently. I mean, I think Duke plays Army just about every year.
That's
with Pitt, their quarterback Kenny Pickett, he's looked very good this year.
Yep,
19 touchdowns on the season.
I think if you put Duke, Army, and Vanderbilt and Wake Forest all in a conference, like, you might have something there. Get them all out of all the major conferences. But this isn't the first time Wake Forest has gone like 5-0, 6-0 to start the season recently. It was a couple of years ago. I think it was 2019. They find ways to beat you on, like, basically slants and drags and misdirections. But I guess what I'm looking at is when they play NC State and they're at Clemson and they're at Boston College, one of those teams should be able to beat them on the line of scrimmage, and that's where they'll lose their first game. Which will look, if they get all the way undefeated, someone's going to have to start chirping about how Wake Forest should be in the national championship picture. But
I mean, listen, if they
might as well put them in Cincinnati and Iowa in there, and let's just get rid of all the big names.
Just let Georgia have a bloodbath. Blow out everyone.
Somebody's got to stop Georgia from getting in there, so we can backdoor Oregon in there or something. So we haven't. Yeah, exactly.
It'd be tough to do that after that not too convincing win last night.
Imagine Georgia drawing Wake Forest in the opening. Disney, ABC say, this is horse crap. Do not put them in there. No one's going to watch this. You said it best. It'd be an absolute bloodbath. Moving on for the next games, I guess. Well, we kind of gave our. Well, you know what? The big one is Oklahoma State, Texas. Number 12 versus number 25. Oklahoma State is a 3.5-point underdog this morning. The over-under is 60. Bobby, I'll start with you. What is your take on this game?
Thompson's look solid for Texas, and Bijan Robinson. He's, I think, he should be, in my mind, one of the Heisman candidates. He's been great this year. I think Texas will win this game. They're coming off a tough emotional loss last week, and I think they'll go out and get a win today. I'll say probably pretty high scoring. I'll say like 42-34.
Tones, what say you?
Oklahoma State was shorthanded their past couple victories, and they beat Baylor and Kansas State, both pretty impressive without having some key starters due to COVID outbreaks on their team. And although Texas is home and playing good, I'm going with Oklahoma State. I think that Gundy gets ready to play. And although, like I said, Texas, they should have beat Oklahoma last week before Caleb Williams' heroics, but I think Oklahoma State remains undefeated in this one in hopes of a playoff appearance, perhaps.
Tony, as we get set for a Wake Forest versus Oklahoma State tilt in January for the national championship, what say you on this game?
Hey, I think Texas will put that to bed today. I think it's a big rebound win for Sark at home. I think they win by a last-minute field goal. Give me 41-38.
Angelo?
Yeah, I have Texas too. The rushing offense is very solid. 14th in the country. Then you have Oklahoma State's rushing defense is not too shabby either. But I just think Texas, the home advantage is going to give them the win. I'll go 38-31.
I don't really have a strong opinion about this game, but it is in Texas. It's a noon kickoff. Texas tends to play pretty well at home, and I do like the fact that their offense is going a little stronger. The thing is, if it comes down to one possession game, it could be anyone's ball game. The 3.5 points, I think I would take Oklahoma State in the points, just because in a game like this, it could be back and forth. It could be a situation where the last team that has the ball gets the W, but they don't necessarily cover the spread. So I'll take Oklahoma State to pull the upset, but it's going to be a squeaker, like a 31-30 ball game. We do have to talk about them because they're in the top 5. Cincinnati's a 22-point favorite against the Central Florida Golden Knights. I'm not sure if they're still national championship eligible, considering their bylaws. But Bobby, does this game stay close at all?
No, I don't think it does. Ritter's been solid this year, and Cincinnati is the best team in that conference.
Tony?
They're my dumb underdog pick. I do think Cincinnati ultimately win. Like a 31-21 kind of game. But biggest thing for UCF really is just they need to get the quarterback that's playing, and I forget his name. I know he's from Arizona. The kid that's taken over for Gabriel, with Gabriel being hurt. Each game, I guess he's looked a little bit better. They kind of snuck one out last week against ECU. ECU, by the way, they've lost every game they've lost. I think it feels like it's been by a field goal or so at the end. But yeah, Cincinnati's just they're so athletic and so fast on the outside, and UCF has some of that speed, but without Gabriel, they're a different team.
If this game was in Orlando, I'd give them a better chance, but I do think Cincinnati's going to roll. I don't know. I'm going to say over under sitting where it's sitting at 56.5. I think that's a little high. 28-17, something like that. Tones?
Yeah, I like Cincinnati 37-21, as you guys said. If it was in Orlando, maybe a different story, but UCF since Milton went down just hasn't looked the same, and I think Cincinnati's going to continue to roll today and make their case for the playoffs. Every win helps that case, so I think they're going to win today in big fashion. I don't see UCF keeping it close.
Angela?
Yeah, same. Cincinnati big. Last year the matchup was close, 36-33 for a Cincinnati win, but this year it's in Cincinnati. They know that if they have a close win, the committee might use that against them. The public might use that against them, so they're going to want to handily beat every team they play. Looking at their schedule, there's no other. No,
there's nothing left. They're only 5-0, but there's nothing left on their schedule. Another top 25 Big Ten tilt. I don't know if you can call it a tilt, but at the beginning of the season, this seemed like it would be a good. Hey, if you're going to tell me a team was in the top 10, the other team was going to be 2 and 3, I'd say, man, well, that sounds about right for Michigan State. But it's reversed. And Tones, I'll start with you. The Spartans, they are in Indiana at noon. It's your FS1 game of the day. And look, I know in theory Indiana's got a roster that should compete, but they have not played well. Michigan State has played very well. What say you?
Yeah, I agree with you. Indiana's kind of underwhelmed all year to this point, and Michigan State continues to move up in the rankings, especially within the country.
We can barely hear you.
Yeah. How about now? Is that better?
A little bit, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I like Michigan State today over Indiana. Indiana's been getting beat pretty good all year, especially in the Big Ten. I like Michigan State today, and I don't think it's really close. I think they win by 10, and I think they cover. I'm going with Michigan State. I'm going with them 31-21 Michigan State victory today.
It's kind of strange. It's only a 4-point spread, which always makes me think they're tricking you. Tony, what say you?
What he said, I think I like Michigan State by like 10 or so, 31-21.
Bobby?
Yeah, I like Michigan State. They've certainly exceeded all expectations this year. And Kenneth Walker, he's been a monster. He's been incredible this year. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to Michigan State. I'll say 31-23. I'll go a little bit different.
Angelo?
Yeah, Michigan State big. Kenneth Walker's probably going to get to 1,000 yards rushing this season. Today he's at 915. Just a solid running back. Now, if I can, do you think that's one of the best divisions in college football? That Big Ten East. You have Michigan State.
This year, it may be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is the best this year, at least right now. I mean, you have a lot of budding stars in that. Penn State looks like, one of the better teams, and they're pumped back in that one.
Across the board, I think it's time for a realignment in the Big Ten. And I always felt like when they started that division, it was a stupid idea to put Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but to put all the what's that?
Indiana. Normally they,
Yeah, all in one division. And on the other side, you've got Wisconsin, and then every once in a while Iowa's good. And that's about it over there. And it's just, if I'm in the Big Ten East division, I'm starting to clamor going, dude, can we get this a little less one-sided? Because those teams are so close together. Who gives a crap if you mix the division up, right? It's not like there's going to be this huge, other than making sure Nebraska is not sitting in Penn State's division. There's not going to be a big, long, road trip per se.
I mean, look at that. Northwestern, U of I, and Nebraska all in the same conference. I mean, come on, that telling right there. And the Minnesota, I know they got Coach Fleck, and they've had some talent the past couple of years, but they're never too big of a threat. Purdue's never going to push for a Big Ten title. They win a couple big games a year, but nothing crazy. Alignment's way overdue because when Iowa's usually not this good too. So it's just kind of crazy. I think realignment's needed.
UW got a cakewalk being put into that division. They basically, if they're a solid football team, they'll be in the conference championship game 7 out of 10 years, probably. But every once in a while, yeah, you get in Iowa. What was it last year? Was it Northwestern that snuck in?
Yep.
But typically, the powerhouses are on one side. It's kind of like the SEC West, but it's a little more lopsided. It would be the equivalent of if you took the SEC West and you added either Georgia or Florida over there and set Mississippi State East and said, all right, unless you really just, have a plane crash or something, Bulldogs, you're going to be in the SEC championship game every year. I'm hoping they rectify that whole thing when Oklahoma and Texas come in and they kind of even it up, but it's much worse than the SEC. In the Big Ten East. All right, it's time to start winding down the show, doing our locks and our one big thing. Tony, I'll start with you. What is your lock and one big thing as you walk it off?
It is rivalry week in Tennessee. We've got Tennessee Tech at Tennessee State. And when those two match up, it's never a high-scoring affair. So I'm going with the under in this epic matchup. I don't know the mascots or anything, but
I know Tennessee State's the Tigers.
Well, there you go. I figured I'd pick the most random game ever and go with that one.
Tennessee Tech. What is the line in this game again? I thought
43.5 is your over-under. We're going under.
Okay, Tony, 43.5 under Tennessee Tech and TSU.
I'm going to make you guys pay attention to that game.
Eddie George thanks you, the head coach of Tennessee State.
Oh, how about that?
The only thing I remember about Tennessee State, Bobby, is that when Tennessee State comes to Murfreesboro to take on the Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders, take the over in the bar fights because it would get ugly. I don't think they play anymore, but it used to get slap ugly. I mean, it didn't matter what bar you were in, it was about to be a brouhaha. And you can imagine why, Bobby. So Tony, who's 2-1 on the year, takes the under in the Tennessee Tech TSU. You know, usually Tones wears the belt of taking the random ball game. So let's go to Tones and find out what Dartmouth is doing this weekend, or whoever.
Out of checking in on Ball State Eastern Michigan sound to you boys. That one is a 2:00 kickoff. I like Ball State in this one. They were the MAC champions last year. They're good at turning the ball over. EMU doesn't turn the ball over too much, but Ball State's been hot. Came off a big Western Michigan victory last Saturday. It's fluctuating between -1, -1.5, but Ball State, I like them covering in this one for sure. I think it's going to be a long day for Eastern Michigan, and although they've held their own to this point, I think Ball State's really hot right now, and they're going to end up winning the MAC again if they continue their winning streak. So I like Ball State in this one. Lock of the day. I know you guys are excited.
We really got to start just calling you Baby Bear because you have the most random games.
I told you. I called him earlier. I talked to him earlier.
All right, so Tones 2-2 on the year takes. I'll give you the -1 because that's what I'm showing right here, and when it's all said and done, who cares? Next one on the board, Bobby, you're 2-2 on the year. What you got on your pick'em, on your lock?
It's going to make me 3-2. I'm going to go with the over of 82.5 points for Ole Miss and Tennessee. I know it's a big number, but I think they're going to get it. Hendon Hooker has looked great so far, taking over for Tennessee. Matt Corral, Heisman favorite, you guys know. I think this will be a high-scoring shootout type of game. And both teams, respectively, they're 4th and 7th in points per game in the country. So I see no reason why this shouldn't be a shootout and a high-scoring affair.
All right, Tones, what say you? I'm sorry, Angelo. Sorry, I'm looking at 3 different pieces of paper.
Sorry, I mean, we kind of look alike too, so no worries. You mentioned Dartmouth earlier. I'm gonna go the other Ivy League school. I'm going to Yale versus UConn.
What time is this game?
I don't even know. 1 a.m. No, noon. It's on
my two alma maters.
It's on CBS Sports Network. I'm going.
Is it really? It's actually televised.
Yale is going to win big, and New Haven is going to be partying tonight.
What is the point spread? I don't even have this on my board.
3.5. Yale is favored. The over under is 46.5. I'm going Yale and taking the over.
Which one is your lock?
Yale 3.5.
Yale -3.5.
I could see Yale just winning 40-0. UConn is horrible.
You're 1-2 on the year. Didn't you go against UConn last week, or did you take UConn and they lost?
I took UConn and they lost. So
okay. Gotcha. So you have seen the error of your ways. There's a couple of games that I like here. I already took my other games yesterday. I think I'm going to go ahead and, you know what? Stanford -1 at Washington State. I think Stanford's got a good chance of winning that ball game. And the fact that it's -1, I do find it odd that the Arizona State, and the reason why I didn't pick it, because I don't know if there's been an injury, because I couldn't find it this morning. Arizona State, Utah is now down to a pick'em, and Arizona State was like a 3-point favorite. So either a boat ton of money came in, or there's been a major injury. But that one right there, I'm interested in. I also do like the Vols, but I'm gonna stick with that 3-1 on the year overall. With all the ones we do college on Friday and Saturday, I'm 11-4. That's not gonna stay that way. Although I did get the Syracuse game yesterday. All right, Tony, what is your one big thing?
Jaguars finally get a win on Sunday in London.
What's your score there? Because I think that's gonna be a shootout.
Hell,
like a high scoring game.
31-24.
I'll take it because the over-under, I think, is 47.
There you go.
Bobby, what is your one big thing that happens today?
I'm gonna say Florida. They go into LSU and they get revenge for last year's spoiler in the swamp, and this will only hurt Orgeron's chance of sticking around for too much longer. I think Florida's going to win by a fair margin today.
Let it go, Bobby. It was last year. Let it go. Okay.
I'm not. Well, I'll let go of the Marco Wilson shoe throw because he's been great for the Cardinals. So I'll say that.
Point to the doll and show me where LSU hurt you. Angelo, what's your one big thing?
I think Alabama goes into Mississippi State and just beats them, rocks them real good as a punishment for last week. Kind of take off the pain.
Tones, what is your one big thing as we walk off?
Iowa fans are going to be left at the altar today. I think Purdue gives them a run for their money, if not wins today, and I think it ends Iowa's hopes at a Big Ten championship this season. I think that after today, the Big Ten's looking for a new king of top of their division. I think Purdue is my big walk-off today.
All right. My one big thing today is that at least two. Let's see here we got here. Well, it depends on how you count. At least two undefeateds go down today. And I'm going to say three undefeateds go down today in the top 25. I don't know what Yale's schedule looks like. I don't know if they're undefeated or not, but so in the top 25, at least three undefeateds go down because I think Kentucky definitely gets beat. I think we all agree to that. And you've got some other undefeateds in action. It always seems like these are the type of weeks that something slips and you're like, oh my God, who saw that coming? Nobody does. But, you know, when you've got Georgia, Cincinnati, Iowa, Michigan must be off, Oklahoma, Michigan State, Kentucky, Wake Forest, who they may be off as well. But regardless, I think three undefeateds go down today because you always get this as we start to get closer and closer to November when we think there's going to be 9 undefeated teams. We always end up with like 2. And this year it's obviously going to be Wake Forest and Michigan State battling for the national championship. So there you have that. Great job, guys. We will see you next week. And tomorrow we will be on the 10 a.m. for the handicappers. Much better slate next week of football, by the way. I looked ahead for a second. All right, guys. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.